try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today, so we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government.
Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to your morning show, Coffee and Crypto. We bring you the latest Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, technical, on-chain, and fundamental analysis every single weekday at 10 a.m. here on the Crypto Jeb YouTube channel, and we cannot wait to bring to you the much-anticipated story about Celsius shut down withdrawals on their platform that services over 1.7 million customers earlier last week on June 12th, and in today's video, we are going to be bringing on, around halfway through the show, none other than Plan C, who has some very interesting theories about what might be going on. Very interesting allegations being thrown around, not necessarily by Plan C, but by the community at large. What's going on with Celsius? What does Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX have to do with the shutting down of Celsius? Why did Celsius shut down? Are other lending platforms in danger as well? Is it all a scam? We're going to talk about all of that and more in this episode of Coffee and Crypto Live. This is going to be a dramatic one. You're not going to want to miss this. Make sure you smash that like button. Let's see if we can't get to 150 likes before I even introduce our co-hosts here. And make sure that you follow this channel for more updates because we got great content coming out for you every single day of the week, and we wouldn't want you to miss any of it. I am also joined, as always, by Mr. T.A. Tim. How you doing, Tim?
I got my mug today.
Woo!
I remembered it. It's going to be that's a good start to Friday already. You know, Good Friday's, last day of the week. Got a weekend coming. Got my drink. I'm excited about this conversation also because, you know, whenever there's something that happens, there's always at least two, if not more, sides to a story.
That's right.
But a lot of people always attach themselves to one side. So it's nice to hear another one as well. And then you get to decide for yourself what the end answer actually is.
That's right. There's three sides of the truth. Their side, and the truth. So we're going to try to figure out what the truth is today. Got a lot of great things to jump into. Now, the host of the glorious YouTube channel that as of yet has no videos, but hopefully will be getting one soon, Smay Nakamoto of Reels on Reels. How are you doing,
everybody?
Smay? Drum roll, please.
It is Smay from Reels on Reels, guys.
on Reels.
Hey, the channel's official. I'm putting the link in the
I got
in
it
the
up
chat.
right now. I have it up right here. Can you show my screen?
I'll show your screen.
That is a great, by the way, that's a great banner. That looks amazing.
Thank you.
It looks
Thank
incredible.
you.
You're
Thank
holding
you.
like a blue marlin there or something.
No, it's like, yeah, I
have no idea about fish, so I clearly need this channel in my life.
I picked a very small fish, so it's funny. Because
Yes.
I was like, oh, everyone does the biggest fish they ever caught. Here's a tiny fish. You know what I mean?
I've seen this picture. This is actually a really funny picture.
Yes.
And
Thank you, guys.
I know it's
have-
not a blue marlin.
Yeah.
It's a
I have an
guppy.
internal goal
joke.
that
I
I
have
want
no
to
idea what it
stretch him to. I want 1,000 subscribers before he posts one video.
Come on.
No.
He said 100.
Yeah, 100. So guys,
But
I
how
want
cool
to
would it be to get 1,000?
I want to get 100 subscribers by the end of this stream.
Let's go.
Okay, I'm gonna do something special. If that video gets 100 subscribers,
What video?
I mean,
no
not video.
video.
Sorry,
Channel. Okay, good.
The channel gets
It's
100
gotten 7
subscribers.
in the last 2 minutes.
If it gets 100 subscribers by the end of this video, I have a surprise.
Oh.
So for 100 subscribers on that
That's
channel.
exciting.
Anyways,
Okay.
yeah, the link's in the chat. Put it again. Go subscribe to that channel. I'm gonna be posting my first video after 100, but Tim says 1,000. So if we can get to 1,000,
I'm a dreamer, man.
you know, if we can get to 1,000.
That's that
Go
dream
big
mentality
things.
right there.
Big
Let's go.
things.
Maybe here's what I'll do. I will post a video at 100, but then you guys can what I will on that video. You guys comment a bunch of suggestions of the first movie you want me to review.
It's at 51 subs.
There it is.
There
the
it is.
first
Let's
video
go.
you guys want me to, the first movie you want me to review,
Jaws.
and that will be the first video that I do at 1,000. It's
gotta be Jaws.
We'll see. All right. Anyways, back to you, Jeb.
Well, it's actually still on you because we
Oh,
gotta
it's
read
green names, dude.
Green names.
Wow.
Hold on. I'm gonna read some green names. I'm also gonna read anybody who says that they subscribe to Reels on Reels.
That's a good
All
one.
right. All right. So here we have JoJo. We got Cyberfix Online by SEO by Bradley Kellum. Grand Roofing Incorporated.
You have to sing it to the tune.
Groovy.
Doofenshmirtz.
Groovy. Yeah.
Do it. Come on.
Okay. Grand Roofing Incorporated.
Yeah, he did it.
All right,
Finally.
Groovy, Crypto Alchemist, JoJo, Brad Geidel, Cryptoffer, Jeremy Shorter, Matt C, Kelly Kellum, Crypto Sec Guy, Sean Frosh, Philly Fan 61, Grand Roofing Incorporated. Let's see who else let's see if we can find some subs today. Let's
You're
see
already at
here.
89 subs.
Let's see here. Sean Frost. Let's see. Daniel. Okay, to Daniel J. Shout out to Daniel J. Mitch Shaw. Shout out to Mitch Shaw. Who else we got here? DJ Rolling Rick. Shout out to DJ Rolling Rick. Shout out to Sit2. And shout out to Alexandra Leonardo. Thank you guys. And Eric Brobacker. And Gabriel Nuves Ramos. Shout out to all of you guys. Back to you, Jeb.
What about me? I was sub number 8.
Shout out to you, Jeb.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy about that.
good stuff, man.
That is good stuff.
You're at 93 subs.
You're
right
at
now.
93
There it
subs.
is, guys.
You know how long it took for this channel to get to 93 subs?
How long?
Probably like, well, actually, we had one video that blew up, but before that, it took like 2.5 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Guys,
you're already
I
there.
love all of you guys.
You're moving up in this world, dude. I'm
I
proud
love all of you guys.
We're on check back here in a minute. It's at 95 subs, so I guess you're making that video.
on.
We'll check back at the end of the show. We'll check out, and we'll see how many we
Go
get.
subscribe to Reels on Reels. It's going to
Yes.
take over the fishing channel or whatever that one
And
channel
movie
is.
reviews.
And movie reviews. We can't forget the movie reviews. You got to do all the fishing movies. You got to
Yeah.
do Jaws and like Blue Ocean. Anyway, we have actually a lot of stuff to cover in the Market Pulse. And then we're going to jump into some technical analysis because this is, of course, the Crypto Jeb channel, and that is one of the main things that we do. As you can see over here, Peter Brandt, the famous Peter Brandt, did this poll. Has Bitcoin bottomed? 23.8% of people said yes. 53.5% of people said no. And 22.7% said not sure. That is of 9,247 votes as of yesterday. And that actually makes a lot of sense because there, to be honest with you, is good reason to believe that we have not seen Bitcoin bottom out just yet. A lot of people have not got a lot of confidence that the bottom is in, and because a lot of people do not have confidence that the bottom is in, well, the bottom, quite frankly, probably isn't in. Normally, if everybody thinks the bottom is in, and I am talking about the final bottom, a lot of times they will say, oh yeah, the bottom's in. I'm not talking about halfway through the bear market. I'm talking about when you drop down and you're 80-85% away from all-time high and everybody's fudding, when you start to see a good number of people say, okay, I'm pretty sure that that was the bottom. Normally, you're pulling from a sample of people that are left in the market because they are experts and they are veterans and they have a lot of experience, and a lot of even those people right now are saying that the bottom is not in. So I would be cautious about saying that it is. Very interesting. Now, something else is very interesting. Watcher.guru posted this. Just in, Solana has announced the launch of its own smartphone, Solana Mobile. I'm not joking. I am dead serious. They even have the whole, trendy, multicolored light show going around the phone right here. It's time for crypto. Even in the fancy letters that are kind of squished and kind of square. Man, the branding. I wonder where they got the idea for that from. Charles Hoskinson said, and all you need to do is find 7 of your friends over on Discord to reboot it. Oof. We'll let that one sit, and we can move on here and see also Solana Mobile's Twitter is here. It's time for Web3's next chapter, Solana Mobile Stack and Saga, coming early 2023. Start building now. Jokes aside, this actually may end up being relatively successful. You don't need to be totally decentralized to build a smartphone, although you do need to be decentralized to build a cryptocurrency that's worth anything. So if you're trying to build a smartphone that is built on the back end for the purpose of Web3, then it does need to be decentralized. And that is going to be a big problem. Solana Mobile said 21 hours ago, it is time for a new chapter. So definitely something we'll be following. And one positive thing about this is that the fact that Solana and all of the very rich people behind Solana are thinking that a smartphone is going to be highly successful with Web3 built on the back of Web3 functionality in early 2023, which is when it is slated to launch, indicates that a lot of the big power players, a lot of the big money investors that are working with Solana and that would be backing this project expect that the cryptocurrency space will be doing very well and potentially better than ever in early 2023. So that actually does speak to whale confidence in the return of the bull market. So that's an interesting topic to bring up there. We'll probably talk about this more in the future, but just want to read the headline for now. Now, this one, pretty big deal. Harmony plunges 10% after Horizon Ethereum bridge got hacked for $100 million. Why do I bash on Solana so much? Why do I think that this is so funny? Charles Hoskinson saying you only need to find 7 of your friends over on Discord to reboot it. Probably because there's hundreds of millions of dollars on the line and life savings on the line. And this is what we're talking about when we talk about decentralization. If you are not fully decentralized, then you don't have a 100% foolproof defense against counterparty risk. Bitcoin does not have the threat of counterparty risk. It doesn't. You cannot hack Bitcoin. It is impossible. Impossible to hack Bitcoin. The only way to get anything out of the Bitcoin network in a nefarious way is to have over 51% of the mining power and then try and build another side chain longer than the main chain and then delete transactions that way. That's the only way to do it. Or to get 80 to 90% of the mining power and use that 80 to 90% of the mining power to go and, make changes to the actual base code of Bitcoin, which would destroy its value. Both of those things would destroy its value. There's no counterparty risk in Bitcoin at all. And if there was, it is only counterparty risk that would destroy the entire network, removing the incentive to put billions of dollars into hacking the thing in the first place. Bitcoin is the most indestructible digital network in the history of mankind. A lot of these altcoins are not. And this is a very sad example of what not building a decentralized network leads to. The Harmony team revealed that it had identified a theft occurring this morning on the Horizon Bridge, accounting to approximately $100 million. It went on to add that the address of the culprit had been identified and that the Harmony team are working with national authorities and forensic specialists to retrieve the stolen funds. That's wonderful. How much better would it be if our systems were built in a way that we didn't have to worry about getting hacked in the first place? Moving right along here, this is pretty interesting. Want to read you a tweet from CZ, Changpeng Zhao, over at Binance. And by the way, this is a pretty funny picture. You got to give credit to them for this. Binance were hiring CZ. This is actually a Photoshop. Tell me where this original picture is from. CZ, on the 15th, said, "It was not easy to say no to Super Bowl ads, stadium naming rights, large sponsorship deals a few months ago. But we did," bragging about it, saying, "Today we're hiring for 2,000 open positions for Binance. And yesterday, we have none other than Cristiano Ronaldo getting a deal." Go to my full screen real quick, man. I need to pull that tweet up. I didn't have it. Getting a deal with Cristiano Ronaldo, as you can see, right. Give me 1 second. I accidentally closed it. Right. I believe this is it right here. Binance and @Cristiano, we're kicking off an exclusive multi-year NFT partnership with football legend Cristiano Ronaldo. This is your opportunity to own an iconic piece of sports history and join CR7's Web3 community. Remember, not only a week and a half ago, we were saying that they are saying no to Super Bowl ads, stadium naming rights, and large sponsorship deals so they can stimulate the economy by hiring new positions, and now they have a deal with Cristiano. By the way, this is a freaking huge deal. This dude is probably the most famous athlete on the planet right now.
Definitely up there.
He's definitely up there. He and and by the way, Tim, I think Messi's birthday is today, so that's.
I think someone said it's tomorrow, but yeah.
Let me look that up. Lionel Messi. Birthday. It's today. So they announced a partnership. They announced a partnership with Cristiano Ronaldo the day before Messi's birthday. That's pretty rough. Anyway, another piece of news coming out from Binance. This is a pretty big one. Binance is launching #Binance Institutional, a new flagship platform for VIP and institutional users in an effort to upgrade its institutional offerings and services. This is a great power move right now because a lot of the people that are going to be getting into crypto are either going to be extremely high net worth individuals or they're going to be institutions. Not a lot of retail is getting into the crypto space right now. So it's actually very wise for Binance to be leaning into the institutional and power player space right now because retail has kind of fallen by the wayside. So their traditional product, Binance and Binance.us, is going to be getting less traffic. They're going to be getting less revenue from that. And that's actually one of the reasons why they probably reduced a lot of the fees on certain kind of transactions, which led to a drop in Coinbase about a week ago. Coinbase stock about a week ago. Them leaning into institutions is actually a very smart business decision, and I commend them for it, and hopefully that will bring online some more institutions. Now, Coinbase offering nano Bitcoin futures via derivative exchanges. This is something like what S&P did. They did a 1/100th fractionalized S&P mini is what they're called. So Coinbase is doing something similar. Don't have time to go into this in too much detail, but you can see here, formerly called FairX, Coinbase derivatives exchanges Coinbase derivatives exchange will offer futures priced at 1/100th of a Bitcoin through third-party brokers beginning Monday. Definitely something to look at there. And then this right here, this memo from Celsius, we're going to be diving into a little bit later, and we're going to be talking about these two words, over time, in about 15 minutes with Plan C. So make sure you stay tuned because we have a great show lined up for you. But Tim, would you mind kicking off our discussion about the Bitcoin technical analysis and where we find ourselves right now?
Absolutely. I would love to do so. We can go ahead and jump onto my charts. And there's two different lines that I'm looking at currently that I want to see if Bitcoin can get there. And I'm going to explain this flat level here in just a second. But if we're down here on the linear chart, I've been talking about this now for a while, a couple days, at least a whole week. We have on the linear chart we had a falling wedge pattern forming. And I've talked about this before. Let me draw the resistance level just so you guys are up to date with what I'm talking about here. We had a falling wedge that we were in up until the news broke that our inflation here at the US dollar was atrociously all-time high. We broke through down to the downside, and now we're starting to work our way back up. But a lot of times that former level of support right there, it turns into resistance, and in which case we're kind of on trajectory where we're going to hit our head on it around 25,000, maybe somewhere a little above 25,000 before we hit our head there. However, there is something that we should talk about, and guess what? Here we go. Auto, bam, right back in the spot. I'm going to get rid of these two lines about my falling wedge, and there's something in play right now down on the hourly chart that has been mentioned on several different channels. We even mentioned it here the other day. It is ugly. I'm going to preface this by saying this is ugly, but theoretically speaking, we do have an inverse head and shoulders pattern, and we're going to see a price breakout that goes actually a little bit above that $25,000. So what is it? Well, this is an inverse head and shoulders pattern. We got to draw our neckline right here. If this was a person who was hanging upside down, this would be the bottom of their neck. What we do is we take the price action from the bottom of that head up to that neckline and then extrapolate that over to our breakout. And if this were to play out, this is where that flat line that you guys see on my chart is coming into play. It would give us a price action somewhere in the region of around 26,600, maybe even getting as high as 26,800. That is an inverse head and shoulders pattern. Again, this is an ugly inverse head and shoulders pattern. It does not have a very clean neckline, but it does have a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder. And it does look like at the moment we are starting to break out of it. And as it stands right now, we do have more bullish momentum than we have bearish momentum. But keep in mind, we are also just breaking where we reversed and did not play out what we had an actual head and shoulders pattern. If you guys are wondering what I'm talking about there, let me get rid of this line right here. Head and shoulders pattern developed here the other day where we had this left shoulder right here. Oop, come on now, chart, draw for me. There we go. Left shoulder right here, head and right shoulder. So a lot of people were anticipating with this, we could see a price action back down to lower 18,000. But of course, that ended up not playing out. I don't think there was the confluence we needed there. I didn't think there was enough bearish momentum happening. So in the same breath, just because we have a potential inverse head and shoulders pattern playing on the hourly chart, Jeb, I want to hear what you think, but I don't know if I'm ready. I'm not ready yet to say that we're going to make it as high as 26,000, but I'm open to it because technically that's what the chart is showing us.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at my chart here, you can see that I'm following what you're saying. I have a bunch of lines drawn here. I'm going to break down what all of these mean really quickly. The first thing I want to point out to everybody is that there is a falling level of resistance right here, which you identified as the neckline of that inverse head and shoulders pattern. I have the two shoulders drawn right here, and then we also have the head drawn right here. And as you said, there is also a head and shoulders pattern right here that did not play out, but if it had, it would have had a price target of $18,500. Looks like we did not get all the way there, so I'll go ahead and remove that. The issue that I'm running into right now, Tim, is that Bitcoin is not really following through on a lot of patterns. It's really just consolidating. And it's very difficult for me to determine what direction Bitcoin is going to break right now, because even though it's in a much longer term downtrend, it is in a sideways movement. And it has been consolidating, as you can see, between these two trend lines right there. In fact, even if we were to look at the volume, then we would see that the volume has dropped off a little bit. And we've seen very low volume, indicating that we are in a symmetrical triangle pattern. Now, there is obviously an argument to be made that we're currently breaking bullish out of the symmetrical triangle pattern. I would contest that before I have any confidence in a bullish movement, I need to see a little bit more confirmation, because the trend is overwhelmingly bearish, and so too is the sentiment. I would want to see Bitcoin getting above $21,700, the previous local top on the 21st of June, and potentially even getting above $22,800, which was the local top set on June 15th of 2022. Around midnight. So if Bitcoin did go to the upside, the problem is it's going to run into quite a lot of resistance, and it would actually be going against a lot of its big trends. Now, to counter that point, if we look out at the daily chart and, well, not the daily chart, but some of the shorter term charts for LuxAlgo, in fact, we can actually see something on the daily chart. You can see the take profit that LuxAlgo gave. The top range was $17,000. We dropped down to $17,500. If you were laddering out of your trades, then you would have made a lot of profit with LuxAlgo. By the way, guys, if you don't have LuxAlgo, these new take profit and stop loss features are absolutely phenomenal. You definitely want them in your toolkit. Make sure you get LuxAlgo. The link's in the description box down below. But we are still in a confirmed downtrend, and we have been ever since April the 10th, and that leads me to believe that we need to see a lot of uptrend before we can go into a major uptrend. But I don't think you're necessarily saying a major uptrend, so let's look on shorter term time frames. On shorter term time frames, let's say the 4-hourly chart. LuxAlgo right now has a green buy confirmed signal, which is very interesting to me. So that could lead us to the upside. The thing is, LuxAlgo's take profits are sitting right here, starting out at this level of resistance that I just said we would have to start breaking through. So LuxAlgo is telling us to start taking profit at the level that I would say would confirm the uptrend. So if we had been looking at LuxAlgo back here on the 19th, then we would have known, okay, boom, we're going into an uptrend. This is the first time we've had a confirmed buy signal on LuxAlgo in a long time. Last time was back here in May. So we should potentially enter a little bit of a long trade, but I would have been very cautious with that. But now the take profits are saying between 21.6 to 21.7 and 23.5 is where you want to take profit. So if we're going to go back to the upside, LuxAlgo would say, okay, you can try to go back up to the upside. You're going to have a very hard time getting anywhere above 23. So where would you see the market going to the upside if it did, and how long could it maintain a bullish recovery like that?
Yeah, and that's exactly what you were just talking about, is that we're kind of sitting in a position where we're moving more sideways rather than up or down. Every single time the bulls seem to start getting momentum, they can't gather enough to outlast the bears, and then the bears get to take over, and then the bears start to do a little bit of work, but there's not enough right in the space for them to get us back down to those $17,000 levels. So what I'm looking at is exactly what you're talking about, Jeb, is a continuation to the downside, but I do think potentially there could be enough pressure to push us up maybe towards 25,000. And again, inverse head and shoulders pattern says maybe 26. Potentially, I do think that would be paired with a bull trap, and we're gonna go back down. If you're looking at our charts here, you go back to my chart, May on TD sequential and Bollinger Bands, we just had a red 9 flash on the 4-hourly chart. So that means that here at least over the next 72 hours, there could be a trend reversal coming in the space. Not that should say it all by itself. Again, you want to have a confluence of different indicators saying things, but as you mentioned on LuxAlgo, if I were to pull LuxAlgo, we're also getting ridiculously close to hitting our take profit level on the 4-hourly chart from LuxAlgo. Going out to the daily chart is where there is potentially some bullish arguments to be made. Not only did we already go below our take profit on the daily chart, we did have a green 9 flash here on the daily days ago, and we're starting to reverse back to the upside. We have currently the green colored 5 is there, which means we have room to the upside. The weekly chart, even if you go all way out to the weekly chart, we had a 9 flash here 2 weeks ago. That one, actually, the take profit has gone a little bit lower on that one, so it has opened up room to the downside. But we're sitting in a spot right now. Again, I talked about this a little bit yesterday, and you can go off my screen for this one, Smay. I don't think that is really a lot of confidence in the space either direction. And you're going to see that with the volume that Jeb talked about. That volume has dropped off immensely, meaning there's just not a lot of trades going on. There's not a lot of shorts. There's not a lot of longs. I think a lot of what traders are doing right now is they're doing some day trading. They're just looking for little opportunities with some leverage to pick up a little bit of money here and there, but they're not entering any long-term longs or shorts because there's so much that we're waiting for informationally to come out to say, hey, is the bottom in? Is it time to start rallying back up? Or is there further pain to go to the downside? Every single person has their own opinion, but nobody is putting their money where their mouth is. I'm not seeing a bunch of new longs come into space. I'm not seeing a bunch of new shorts come into space. We are definitely in a what happens next mode. I don't think anyone knows.
Yeah, and I think if I read what Kelly said here, I would completely agree with the way that he said this, and I think you would too, Tim. Cautious pump, wait for rejections anywhere between here and $26,000. After we're above there, then we can watch to see if we form a higher low or next pullback. I would say that you're right on that, Kelly. If we're going to see Bitcoin go into any kind of major rally, we need to see it get above 26, 28, 30, 35, stay up there for a long time. We're nowhere near talking about a long-term rally. We're talking about a cautious pump, a little bit of a recovery. I'll be honest, one that you probably want to be careful about trading because you want to bet with the longer-term trend normally, not the counter trend to the longer-term trend. Longer-term trend's down. This is a short-term bounce. Be careful about betting with that trend because you never know when it's going to end. Truthfully, you never know when any of them are going to end. But these shorter term counter rallies are a little bit more dangerous because they could last much less time and they can end on the drop of a hat, whereas longer term trends typically take a lot longer to turn, like a large boat with a small rudder. Now, as far as reasons why Bitcoin could go into a small rally, a couple more that Tim may not have mentioned. MACD is crossing bullish. It's at negative 2,600 right now, and it will be crossing bullish on daily chart today. RSI is moving to the upside, but also RSI gives me one of my biggest points for the bears, and that is that, yes, it's moving to the upside. It's still sitting at 34. Make no mistake, RSI can be read for overbought and oversold signals, but that's actually not the point of RSI. The point of RSI is not actually RSI divergence either, although that's very, very powerful. The point of RSI, the relative strength index, is to show you the relative strength of the bulls and the bears. If you're above 50, you're more in the camp of the bulls. If you're below 50, you're more in the camp of the bears. Even on a small rally that we've been in for the last 5-6 days, we're still sitting at 34. All of the technicals are giving mixed results, but a lot of them are pointing to the upside for a short-term bounce and rally. That all relates to the strength of the market. That's why a lot of people say, if I only had 3 indicators, one of them, RSI, because it's going to give you a good understanding of who's in charge right now. What faction, the bulls or the bears, has the authority? What faction has the leverage? What faction has maybe the best word is the momentum? It is a momentum oscillator after all. Right now, even on this small rally, the bears are still the ones in charge. They're giving a little bit of ground. So don't think that the bulls have taken over and now they're the ones in power.
Right.
It's that the bears are giving ground. And that's a very important distinction because it's going to dictate how this little bounce occurs. So if we do go to the upside a few $1,000s, and I'll make that concession, that could happen, be very cautious about it and expect that more bearish action is going to come, or at least some sideways action as we start to see more stagnation in the market over the next several months.
You know, Jeb, I saw in chat someone said, oh, this isn't a pump, this is a dead cat bounce. Well, call it is. Dead cat bounces are little pumps. I think a dead cat bounce could go up as high as $26,000.
Yeah.
I think 25, even 25, I think is asking a whole heck of a lot of the market. But here's what I'll tell you is going to happen, and I want to see even on the Fear and Greed Index as we start to see this develop, is are we going to start getting some false hope back in the space? Because that's what's happening right now is even though we're back up above 21, and it's looking good right now, being back above 21,000 is very nice. I don't think there's been a lot of hope pumped into the market just yet. I don't think a lot of bulls are rallying saying, oh, we're above 21, it's time to go ahead and go for it. But as we start to climb a little higher, there will be this feeling that it encounters a lot of different people, and they'll start to kind of get a little FOMO-y. They'll start to be like, oh no, did I miss out on an opportunity? Maybe I should get in now. And I'm just preparing you guys and warning you, this is how the markets work. They like to pump some FOMO into the market, and they like to get people going up at the top so that they can sell and bring it back down. I don't know for a fact that we have already hit the bottom or if we're going to go even lower. What I know, though, is that the market is sitting in a very ripe spot for us to return back down to those levels. Again, I've mentioned that in previous videos. So may go back to my screen here one more time, and that is if you guys are looking at the volume out here on the daily chart, and this yellow line is causing, I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of it for right now. I can redraw it. I know why. Come on now, yellow line. Work with me here. Get deleted. All right, volume. So when we come down to these dips, this high volume marking a reversal, what happens more often than not, I'm telling you guys, give it some weeks to play out, but more often than not, that volume means that that's a level we're going to come back down and retest later, because right now there is a lot of supply and the market knows that there are people down here that want to buy at this level. It's ripe right now to return to those levels, barring some massive fundamental thing develops, a massive news story develops, some crazy adoption story happens, and the market decides, oh, we don't need to wait for a return. It's good now. I've not seen that. Jeb, have you seen that come into the space?
I have seen a lot of FUD in the space is what I've seen, Tim.
So the evidence is posing we are at least probably coming back down into the 17,000s, and then there's even more evidence mounting that we could potentially go lower. And guess what? We're going to talk about it here in just a couple of minutes when Isaac from Plan C comes on the show. But before that, let's do some super chats. Let's dive into super chats, and then we're going to bring Isaac in. So I only see one here, and it's from Nico Wild. He says, Imposters Radio. So remember, this is the guy, he's talking about that game that's mimicking...
Among Us.
Among Us, yeah.
Amongst Us. Great
Imposters
game.
Radio
Oh my
is on
gosh.
Spotify, in a space on Twitter every Friday, recorded for the podcast if you want imposters.gg alpha. So
All I
thank you so
know
much for
is
the
that
donation,
Among
Nico.
Us was one of the simplest games in the last several years, one of the most popular games in the last several years, and one of the most enjoyable games in the last several years. The only trick with Among Us is finding 9 friends to play with, because playing in public lobbies is kind of lame. So if you can find 9 people, or even 4 or 5 people to play Among Us with, that's a fun game right there. Definitely a fan of that. Anyway, so yeah, imposters.gg. I don't know much about it. You guys keep talking about it in chat. You're free to look into it. I don't have an official position on it because I have not looked at it. Tim, should we jump into our next segment, or do we have any other super chats?
We don't have any more. All I was gonna say is I put that link for Reels on Reels back in. There's 143.
Yeah, there's 143.
I'm so
folks.
grateful. I love all of you guys.
That is awesome.
I'm telling you, I want 1,000. I want 1,000.
Come on, let's get to 1,000. Let's see if we can get 1,000 in a day. Well, we are about to introduce a guest who has also seen some meteoric growth. He's been in the space for a very long time, but he started becoming a public figure about a year ago, I want to say. He'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, and already has over 100,000 followers on Twitter. We are joined by none other than the one, the only, the real Plan C. Isaac, how are you doing?
Oh, doing really well, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. I've been enjoying just listening to, just following on with the show here. Such a fascinating time to be in the space. I mean, it's, I've been in since, basically I've been in for 5 years, and I would say the last 2 months has been, at least from what I can remember, I mean, there is recency bias, but to me, it does feel like kind of the craziest time that I've ever experienced within crypto. And I mean, there's just so many things going on with, obviously with macro and just the global financial system in general. So yeah, what I'm going to talk about today is another big factor that, along with TA and on-chain, and then the macro, I think is important to consider. And that's basically the unknown unknowns within crypto. So, I mean, black swans by their nature are things that we can't anticipate. But right now, I would just say that there's a higher probability of a black swan within the crypto space than there has been, in the past. Like this time, just because of the deleveraging of the global financial system, and then that's kind of caused a lot of deleveraging within crypto with risk-off assets. So,
Right.
Where did you want me to kind of take it?
Yeah, well, no, we want to talk a little bit about Celsius because we've got some very interesting developments that we've been telling the channel that we're going to be going over. Let me just ask you a very simple yes or no question. Did you get blocked on Twitter by Sam Bankman-Fried?
Oh yeah, and I did. I don't know why. I do. I guess. I mean, I can assume why. But like everything I'm saying today, definitely allegedly. Everything I was posting on Twitter, it's allegedly, right? So
that's important.
But like I'm just just did a lot of research into kind of the events that occurred, and I got blocked. I never tagged FTX or Sam in any of my posts, but I guess.
Yeah, well,
he kind of wasn't happy with me.
Yeah, seemingly not. For anybody who doesn't know, Sam Bankman-Fried is one of the most valuable people, one of the most high net worth individuals in the entire cryptocurrency space. He's the CEO of FTX, one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges in the entire cryptocurrency space. And there is some drama going on, potentially, allegedly. Important distinction there between Celsius and FTX, and therefore Sam Bankman-Fried and Plan C is going to tell us a little bit about today. But let me just kind of intro what's going on. Essentially what we saw, if you go to Celsius's website, and I'll bring it up right now, go to celsius.network. As soon as you come to their site, you are greeted with this prompt. Our website is currently being updated. Related to the previously stated pause on withdrawals, swap, and transfer features between accounts, some of our products and services are temporarily unavailable. For more information, see our blog. If you click that, it brings you to a memo to the Celsius community that went out on June the 12th that sent shockwaves around cryptocurrency. It says this: due to extreme market conditions, today we are announcing that Celsius is pausing all withdrawals, swap, and transfer features between accounts. We are taking this action today to put Celsius in a better position to honor, key phrase, as I said in the intro, over time, its withdrawal obligations. So, they are saying that they want to honor all of their withdrawal obligations over time, but essentially it seems that Celsius is worried about becoming insolvent due to the market conditions right now, as if there could be some sort of run on the bank scenario where, because it's a lending platform, there's fractional reserve lending going on. If everybody tried to withdraw all at once, there might not be enough funds to go around. So they want to make sure that they are able to honor that over time. That's deeply concerning, and it's not only Celsius that's in danger. A lot of lending platforms right now could be in a lot of danger, but there are two sides to every single story, and it seems that this story goes a lot deeper than just what we would see here in this blog post, and that's why we want to bring you in today, Isaac. We want to hear what you have been talking about the community with a $20 million reward, a witness coming forward, and everything of that sort. So can you kind of break down how this might be going a lot deeper than just a simple withdrawal pause?
For sure. Yeah, I definitely can. And I should say first off, I have no affiliation with Celsius, the company. I don't get paid by Celsius. So, people might think that, but I have basically, I'm not incentivized through.
Yeah, you're just a bystander who's doing your research and you're trying to call facts.
Yeah, well, I'm personally someone that, I'll full disclosure, like I did invest in the Cell token early on, like really early 2 years ago. So I do have Cell tokens. I have used the platform, but beyond that, I have, like I said, I'm not associated with the company. I'm not getting paid. What I want to basically, through my research, like I do have friends in the Celsius community, a lot of friends, and I have people that, work for the company, right? So, but yeah, it's just hard for me to kind of sit back and see only one side of the story be shared and just for me, I just don't like unnecessary FUD. Obviously I wanted the facts to come out, whatever they are, but I just I kind of want to dispel things that I know are factually just wrong, right? So what I would say is this story does start in a lot of ways. It does begin with the UST and the Luna collapse, and the thing about that is, there were a lot of really large crypto funds that got into the Luna ecosystem, and they actually had illiquid positions. So Jump Capital was one, so was Three Arrows Capital. I think Galaxy Digital as well, but there was a handful of them, right? And these guys got they had Luna. They got in for a discount on Luna, but then it was vested over a period of 4 years, is my understanding. And so they were illiquid. And so what happened when the initial depegging of the of UST happened? Basically, I mean, it was there's speculation on exactly what caused the initial depeg. I don't want to really speak to that. I don't know for sure, but there's a lot of different people put out some documentation on what could have caused the initial kind of like the initial depeg. But once the depeg occurred, like the initial part of it, there was discussion, as far as my understanding, within all the whales that hold UST. Basically, I'm not sure exactly who. I have my speculations, but there was, players. There was discussion amongst themselves, saying like, "Look, guys, we're fine. We're going to raise like $1 billion amongst us. We have a plan in place. Let's work together. Let's get this. Let's not let this thing depeg any further." And so there was kind of like, in my understanding, somewhat of an agreement to not sell, right, these whales. And this is again all alleged, all speculative, but there was the thing about it was there was a lot of players, like some of these players that were in this within the ecosystem had a higher incentive to get this deal done than others. I mean, some of them were completely illiquid in their Luna positions, and so obviously for them, like they wanted to get this peg fixed. But then you had a company like Celsius who had a large amount of UST or a big position, and I mean, at the end of the day, for them, it was about protecting their community. And they probably, for them, being that they were liquid, it wasn't worth the risk to wait and see if this depegging got fixed. They basically decided they got out of the out early on. And from my understanding, they suffered very low losses. They were one of the lowest. There's a lot of rumors online right after the collapse happened that Celsius is in trouble. They lost a bunch of money in Luna and UST. It's just not true. Everything I haven't seen anything that shows that. Everything I've seen and my understanding from talking with the team, it's just not the case. So basically, they suffered very low losses. But even though they did get out of the ecosystem without really any damages, there's a really good probability that one of these huge investors in the ecosystem, was not happy with them, that they left, and they had such a large position that them, along with other people selling, probably contributed in large part to the further depegging of UST.
So you're saying there could be a vendetta against Celsius because somebody who lost potentially billions of dollars in the UST collapse is blaming Celsius because they sold their position, helping to destabilize UST even more, and they're vengeful that they got out, but they didn't. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, like, right, exactly what you said. Like, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, if you think if I don't know which one, I'm not going to call out any specific player, but there's a half a dozen or so of these people, and I mean, the likelihood that none of them hold at least some level of a grudge for losing hundreds of millions of dollars,
Right.
In my opinion, is really low probability.
Right.
And if there's an opportunity in the future for them to, do something that might impact Celsius in a negative way. They probably remember the fact that
Right.
Celsius, in their opinion, hurt them.
So Celsius could have made some really big enemies about a month and a half ago, is what we're hearing.
Yeah, that's kind of
Okay,
that's
that's a
my
good point.
working thesis, and like I can't say with absolute fact because obviously I'm not in those funds, but I just think there's a high probability of this likelihood. And so yeah, after the the DPEG, and obviously we know what happened there. There was a huge fallout from this, and we're still seeing this today. I mean, it's so clear. Like, you have Three Arrows Capital, they lost $560 million, is my understanding, in their Luna position because they were illiquid. And that money, as we know now, was basically borrowed from Voyager with very low to no collateral, which is just crazy. I mean, and so like this whole situation, I mean, it does go back to the Luna UST situation. Okay. And what I would say is, I mean, the thing for me is the amount of negativity that went towards Celsius online. Like, Celsius made, I'm not a Celsius fanboy by any means. Like, Celsius made clear mistakes. The biggest mistakes they made were they should never have got involved with Luna UST. They should never have got involved in that ecosystem. That was a huge mistake on their part. The other thing that they did that was a huge mistake is they put too much ETH into the ETH2 contract, and they bought too much ST ETH. So they made mistakes. They opened themselves up for what I feel like was basically an opportunistic coordinated attack against them by one or more parties. Is my speculation. But I mean, they put themselves in this situation with some choices they made. Now, I don't think they would be even close to in the position they are currently if there weren't people that, in my opinion, acted against them to varying degrees. But yeah, I mean, social media wise, as soon as the ST ETH DPEG occurred and it went down to like 94, there was just an insane amount of negativity towards Celsius online. And it's one thing, in my opinion, like, as it coincided with a lot of fear in the overall crypto space, obviously, and obviously right. in macro as well. So yeah, when there's a lot of fear going around, people might overreact right. for sure. But in my opinion, some of the claims that were being made about Celsius with really no evidence, saying they're insolvent, all this stuff, right? Like, so there's a huge distinction between being illiquid and being insolvent. So Celsius, as we've seen, is they were illiquid for sure. They had, lots of different positions that were illiquid. I mean, they didn't anticipate a bank run, right? So right. They made mistakes, but in order to earn yield, they have to have these assets out in varying degrees of being illiquid and to earn the yield. So, I wouldn't necessarily say they were taking insane risk. The UST situation, I would say that was okay. They were taking some risk there. That was a big mistake. But as far as having your ETH in ST ETH or in the ETH2 contract, I mean, that's relatively safe. It's just, it's illiquid. And if there's a huge depegging, okay, that causes problems. So, but yeah, what I would say is like, what I noticed is just a ton of negativity online towards them, like extreme negativity from competing businesses. Like, we saw Swan Bitcoin take full advantage of the situation. I mean, they were multiple people from that group. There were investors as well as the CEO were just saying crazy stuff online. Celsius is, it's a scam, it's a Ponzi, they're insolvent, get your money out now. Yeah. Like, stuff that, I mean, it's really a borderline
potentially
slander of another business. So everyone piled on, and it's hard to know like how much of this was social media, Twitter accounts and YouTube accounts just seeing that they got more clicks by talking about this and then being incentivized to continue to talk about it. Right. So, but yeah, sorry, I'm talking so much. Did you have any specific?
So I'm hearing some talk about a $20 million reward for a witness coming forward. Can we talk a little bit about that? Sure. Who has potentially attacked Celsius? How have they potentially done that? Allegedly, I should say, not even potentially. And who would be fronting a $20 million reward? Am I getting this information right? What is going on with? There apparently is enough evidence to come forward to indict somebody and to have a court case. We just need one more witness. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, so again, like I would say that, so this reward, okay, so this is not from Celsius, right? So like the reward is not coming from Celsius. I can verify that 100%. I will bet every aspect of my reputation in the space. I promise you guys, I swear on whatever I need to swear on, this is fully legit reward. I know this for an absolute fact, but it is coming from a very well-respected group in the space, but it's not Celsius. And I cannot say anything further just because, you know, that group wants to remain anonymous and they don't want to, being that they've been in the space a while and they have a good reputation, they just don't want to create enemies, right? So
So what's the reward for? It's $20 million, but what's it for? Who gets $20 million, and what do they have to do to get it? Well, like why is a $20 million basically bounty being put up for a witness to come forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's just this group really does feel that there was a coordinated attack, you know, against Celsius, and
by who? They
basically are looking for definitive proof. So, you know, obviously the 20 million, I mean, it is there, but it would need to be documents. It would need to be like, it can't just be, I think it's this person or some, you know, I had some crazy inbox messages of people, you know, trying to scam me, basically like, send me some money and I'll start talking. It's like, no. So like the way to go about this, if someone actually has documentation or proof, is to, you know, contact a legal team and have them contact myself on their behalf. And then basically I have the email of the individual or the group, and basically I'll forward the information. I don't have any privy to any documents or anything after that. There has been groups come forward already, but basically, and I don't know if they're legit or not. I just know that I have dealt with law firms that have messaged me. So basically, once I get that information from the law firm on behalf of their client, I forward it to the group through their email. I'm out of the picture. They communicate. They figure out a legal agreement in order to swap. You know,
money
basically they sign paperwork, and so if they have the documentation that proves, you know, it was an attack, then they'll get the reward.
So who is being accused of attacking Celsius then? That's the question. Because so if there's a reward for evidence coming forward that somebody did something, then who is it and what did they do is the question. So how was Celsius allegedly attacked and who allegedly did it?
Yeah, what I would say is I don't want to give any specific names. I really don't want to get in legal trouble. You know, I did in my post that I put out a 2-part series on Twitter. You know, I had my own speculation, but I really don't know. You know, I just feel like they created a decent amount of enemies given the Luna UST situation, and then also just in the traditional financial system, you know, and that's again some of their own fault with some of their marketing about, you know, bank yourself and just some of just, you know, during the bull market, maybe getting a little overconfident and stuff like that. But yeah, as far as like how they might have someone might have attacked Celsius, I mean, you look at what happened to their token. I mean, their token, you know, just got basically annihilated from shorts. The amount of like online kind of negativity that spiraled like out of control within a few week period. You know, I'm not like, if no one got paid off, if that was all organic, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe this was completely organic, but it just seemed like everyone and their mom was basically going off about Celsius and posting things that are just crazy. Like, I mean, bringing up employees from like 4 years ago, it like just really random stuff, like talking about like hollow mode and all this stuff that's just not true. So it was so yeah, maybe you know, I would say coordinated on the social media front. You know, the token at the same time, like a really heavy shorting of the token, and then also just within the DeFi space, you know, potentially making moves to put Celsius in a tough position. So yeah, I mean, we'll see if anything comes forward. I mean, maybe there was nothing. Maybe this was completely organic. I don't know for sure. I just feel like it's worth exploring because you know, this is something where there's definitely a lot of people involved in the Celsius team and the Celsius community that really feel like this was not organic, and this definitely there definitely could have been players involved with this. And I mean, at the very least, Swamp Bitcoin. I mean, these guys, like they were just nonstop negative tweeting about Celsius for weeks and weeks on end. And you know, they financially benefited. The CEO was nonstop tweeting. Multiple of their investors would not stop, you know, spreading negativity. And
so the charge will be market manipulation then. The charge will be market manipulation through slander to drop the price while they're in a short. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what the case?
Yeah, I would say honestly, like the biggest thing that, you know, if you found evidence of was a coordinated social media slander attack on the company, right? With unfounded evidence and just basically causing the bank run. I mean, it's like like Celsius, the thing that put them in a bad position was a combination of the ST ETH position being depegging, right? That was definitely not helpful. And then also just the coordinated, well, the amount of negativity that led to the bank run. I mean, it put them in a position where they were illiquid and they couldn't honor withdrawals. There's still no evidence at this point. I mean, I don't work in the company, so I don't know their financials, but there's no evidence whatsoever currently that they're insolvent. There's a huge difference between insolvency and illiquidity. And right now, like, I mean, the employees are still getting paid. They're still paying out rewards on Monday. You know, there's a few other things I can't remember off the top of my head, but basically there's nothing at this point that really points in the direction of insolvency. Now, obviously the company's not in a great position, and closing your doors is really going to hurt the trust, right? Obviously it wasn't great. And the chances of them coming out of this without significant changes to the company is probably not the best.
Gotcha.
But right now, I mean, there's just no evidence of insolvency. And actually, I would say Voyager, I mean, just to quickly mention a few other things with these other companies. I mean, Voyager, they just lost $700 million. You know, if it wasn't for Alameda stepping in, I mean, Voyager would be completely insolvent. Allegedly, they would be completely insolvent. I don't see how they wouldn't be.
Right.
And then on top of that, I mean, they just lowered the withdrawals to 10K a day as well. And then also you have BlockFi. I mean, BlockFi was looking to raise money at a $1 billion valuation, which is a huge discount of last summer, which was 3 to 5 billion. BlockFi, there were some financials that leaked where, I mean, they lost like 200 or $300 million this year or last year. Like it's, and they also just got bailed out by FTX. So, I mean, again, BlockFi and Voyager, like they basically, we don't know for sure, but all indications point, you know, allegedly that both of them were insolvent, and Celsius might not have been, but yet Celsius was the one that had all the social media against them. If that happened to Voyager or BlockFi, they also would have had a bank run, and they also would be in the same situation, if not worse. So it's just interesting timing how Celsius kind of was like the scapegoat of the lending and borrowing space, where everyone's eyes were focused on them. Meanwhile, you know, BlockFi and Voyager were potentially in a worse position. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm seeing it.
Okay. Well, I think Tim might have a question.
Yeah, we only have a couple of minutes left here, and I'm thinking, I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. You started going there here a second ago, but you know what's on everyone's mind is, of course, what the heck is happening with Celsius? What's going to happen with these other lending firms? What's going to happen to the price of Bitcoin and other cryptos? So I'm going to kind of like wrap a multiple of questions in here, but I think you're going to be able to put them together to give us the answer. First of all, what do you think is going to be the bottom of Bitcoin? What do you think the implications of these lending platforms kind of having problems? Because Celsius is not the only lending platform that's had a rough couple of weeks. What do you think the likelihood is, and what happens if these platforms start to actually go insolvent, not just illiquid, as you're saying?
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's where, like, as somebody who looks at charts and looks at on-chain and posts things, I mean, it's so hard right now to predict the bottom. I mean, it's for these reasons you just mentioned, right? We do not know how many of these companies will become forced sellers. And I mean, we just saw two of these funds in Canada, these kind of ETF funds in Canada, they just dumped like a crazy amount of Bitcoin. I think it was like $30,000 between these two funds, or 30,000 Bitcoin between these two funds. You know, when we kind of over the last week or so, like, well, around the low, they were dumping crazy amounts. So, like, again, there's a lot of potential sellers. We have the miners. You know, we don't know how many of those mining companies will become forced sellers, but definitely lending and borrowing is something where, you know, there really isn't. I mean, yeah, there's just a lot of, like, I'm not even convinced. So allegedly, here's another one. This whole thing about Nexo buying Celsius, they posted this like letter of intent. This was, in my opinion, a marketing thing. This was just to appear stronger than they are. I really don't think Nexo's in that strong of a position either. I've heard rumors of them looking to raise funds. So, like, across the board, I mean, these lending and borrowing platforms, you know, we don't know which ones will make it through. We don't know which ones will become forced sellers. But yeah, I mean, they're all not in necessarily the best position. Even with Voyager getting that bailout from Alameda, my understanding with that revolving line of credit of $250 million is they can only tap into like $75 million within 30-day period. So they're not necessarily out of the woods, even with that bailout from Alameda. So yeah, I guess I would just say, to wrap it up, that you know, the bottom, I mean, Kevin O'Leary is somebody who's been going on different streams talking about this. And I mean, the guy, whether you like him or not, he's made a lot of really strong, smart financial decisions. He basically says, in his opinion, that the bottom will be put in by a major company going under. And that's kind of what he thinks will signal the bottom. So it's hard to disagree at this point. I mean, it really does feel like I mean, maybe that company was Three Arrows. I mean, you could argue like that's one of the biggest funds. I think at one point Three Arrows had, I don't know the exact numbers, but it was like 11 to 15 billion or something under management. So, they're looking like they're completely done. And so, yeah, maybe they're the big company that goes under that signals the bottom. But at the same time, I mean, they're so interwoven between so many other companies in the space and so many of these lenders that, most likely there's still more, this is still kind of TBD. There's still more to be determined on how many companies are basically going to be insolvent and have to be forced sellers. So, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but it's fascinating to be in the space right now. And it's really hard to rely just on TA and on chain. By all accounts, if you look at the macro bottoms of all the previous cycles, we would be there pretty much right now between here and our low.
Yeah.
But, because of this, most likely, there's a good chance we go lower.
Right. Well, I am very appreciative of your time, Isaac, and thank you so much for coming on and bringing us some information about the alleged attack on Celsius and the $20 million reward that there is on the table for anyone who comes forward with evidence that has occurred. Thank you so very much for that. I know that you're going to be keeping your community up to date on that over on your Twitter at The Real Plan C. Do you have any final thoughts and anywhere else that people can follow you before we wrap it out? Because we got to go here.
No. Yeah, I'll let you guys go. No, I appreciate you having me on again. It
Absolutely.
was, really nice of you. I really enjoyed the conversation with you guys and giving me the platform. And yeah, just at The Real Plan C on Twitter is the best place to reach me to follow my content. But and I'll be getting back into more Bitcoin charts and stuff. I was kind of derailed by this whole Celsius stuff. So some of my followers were like, what's going on with this dude? But yeah, no, it's going to be back to more, my old content and stuff. So, but yeah, thanks a lot again. Thanks again, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, buddy. You have a good one. God bless you.
You too. Yeah, God bless. Take care, guys.
Good deal. All right. Well,
interesting.
Wow.
Someone just put it in chat. There's still a lot of questions left, and they're absolutely right. There is a whole lot. And the whole thing is, I want to make sure people understand, this was not, Jeb has to wrestle with this. I have to wrestle with this. This was not we think that everything that Plan C is talking about here, that Isaac's talking about, is 100% truth. But what it is, hey, we've got to get to a place where we start to hear multiple sides and allow people to start thinking for themselves, because he does offer some really great questions. And I do appreciate that he did specify, he's like, listen, there is a chance this was completely organic. There was a chance that this is that way. But there's also a lot of fishy things going on. And if we just start closing our eyes and turning our heads from things and not trying to actually analyze every bit of information we can, then we could find ourselves constantly being manipulated, constantly being told to look in a certain direction and just following orders. So I think it's really interesting. We're going to continue to have to wrestle this one out. There's a lot of potential still on the table about what probably happened to Celsius. But again, not only what happened to Celsius, what's going to happen to these other lending platforms. And if they go down, if we start seeing dominoes fall, what's going to happen to the price of crypto? As he talked about early in the interview, he talked about a Black Swan event coming, the largest one we've seen. Of course, the pandemic was the Black Swan event that took everyone by surprise back there in 2020. Could something even bigger be coming? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, we will have to wait and see indeed on that. Could a lot of margins get called? Could a lot of illiquid companies go under because they can't afford to pay out gains as the money has gone down? That's as the cryptocurrency valuation has dropped. That's what we're going to have to see. But let's go ahead and read some super chats, then we're going to go over the HODL Trophy.
Yeah,
and we'll wrap it
that's
out.
right. So Tim,
we have one, and it's not. It's just a new member, and you know what? He specifically joined
asked for Smay
because
to say his
he
name.
wanted Smay to say his name.
all right. Drum roll, please. I just want to say shout out to D's Nuts for joining the Crypto Jab team channel.
Welcome to the channel.
Not team, membership. program.
Welcome,
I love you guys.
welcome to the.
We love you.
Yes.
D's
Thanks for
Nuts.
hanging out with us.
Yes.
Well, let's go ahead and go over the super chats. I mean, I'm
Well,
sorry,
that's
the HODL Trophy.
Yeah, I mean, so we are sitting currently, and when we hit 1055, it was sitting right above 21,100. So with my prediction of 22.5, I am the closest, because I believe the next closest was, you had 19,000, I believe, Jeb.
Yeah, probably.
And then I think Smay went 18,000. So second week in a row, I got to keep this HODL Trophy on my desk. Again, I do think that we are going down to those levels again. I've talked about that throughout this show and other shows as well. I just didn't think it was going to happen yet. And it turns out this week I was right. Who knows what's going to happen next week? It is a new week, new predictions on Tuesday.
It's
we
a
shall
new
see.
dawn.
Oh, and
It's a new
guys,
day.
I just want to say thank you guys so much for all the love and support
know,
on my
Reels
Reels
on
on Reels adventure.
So
Let's see
close
what
to
we're at
200.
now.
It's 179.
Okay, 179. Let's see, guys. We have 2 minutes left. Let's see if we can get to 200.
it. Go
Guys, I'm
subscribe.
gonna post a little short today, thanking all of you guys for your support.
Can you
and
post
then-
shorts on a new channel?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the first video is gonna be coming out relatively soon, guys.
Whoa.
So keep an eye out for that. Thank you, guys. I love all of you guys so much.
Super chat just came in from Chirag Patel. He said, what are the strong buys/sells showing for Ethereum over Bitcoin?
We will have to look at that in the new
Yeah.
week because I don't think we're going to have time to go over that.
Yeah, I
I
don't
do
think so.
apologize, but thank you so very much for the super chat. And that is something that we cover pretty commonly here on the show, or just things having to do with Ethereum and Bitcoin. So we'll talk about all of that in the new week. Guys, if you enjoyed today's show, make sure to hit that like button. We've got 607 likes. We can get a few hundred more before the stream wraps out. Thank you so very much to all 1,500 of you for watching. Make sure that you follow us on all of our social media over at CryptoJeb over on Instagram and Twitter, at CryptoJebOfficial over on TikTok. And stay tuned because we got some more afternoon content coming up for you today in the form of videos and shorts, and some great content coming up this weekend as well. Before I go, though, guys, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good